Hello! In today's Archaeoscoop, my top 3 headlines are as follows. Headline number 1 is to do with the end of days, which I'm sure by now you have come across the 2012 phenomenon. The idea that the Mayans predicted on the 21st of December this year the end of the world. Some people are getting rather nervous about this, although it has to be said, for the most part, news outlets are simply making some rather tongue-in-cheek hay out of this story. However, there are some voices of reason out there, and in addition to Archaeoscoop's video on this topic actually, there is now Dr. Weldon Lamb of New Mexico State University, who is attempting to reassure folk that there never was a prediction of the end of times, as it were, made by the Mayans. Rather, it's the end of a period of time, and therefore probably nothing to get overly concerned about. So if you are at all tense, if you are concerned that you may not receive your presents this year at Christmas, do check out that headline, and hopefully this will help you to relax. So that's headline number 1. Headline number 2 is actually, it comes at a rather timely moment in time, and that is 100 years ago, in 1912, as opposed to 2012, a major forgery was perpetrated, and it is probably the most infamous find in all of science, actually, and that is Piltdown Man. Piltdown has become a byword for the fragility of our methodology and indeed ego, I suppose, when it comes to discovering scientific facts or truths in that sense, or the search for truth. And it's also become rather embarrassing. But now, 100 years on, scientists are returning to Piltdown and the finds therein to attempt to finally put to rest who it was that actually perpetrated this fraud, essentially. Now, the suspect list is rather large, 15 suspects, the most prominent name on that list being the venerable Sir Arthur Conan Doyle of Sherlock Holmes fame, who actually did help with some real criminal investigations as well. He had a brilliant mind, so one has to ask yourself, why would he commit a forgery? But anyway, they through various techniques which are actually ongoing, but the early results, it seems, are pointing to a particular person who I won't name actually. I'll let you read this story, but this person had, it seems, had an awful lot to gain, not least in the naming of Piltdown Man initially. And if the results continue the way they are, then hopefully it seems we can finally put the act of fraud, but also the fraudster, to rest, and maybe move on from this unfortunate episode. However, Piltdown remains a very important reminder that archaeologists must always be eager to ask questions of themselves, and also why they want, for example, to find something, as opposed to just going with the evidence that's before them. So anyway, read that for more on that. That's headline number 2. Headline number 3 actually is to do with, for many people, the find of the year, the find of 2012, in Britain at least. And that is, on the 12th of September, there was an announcement that potentially King Richard III's remains had been uncovered underneath a car park in Leicester. Now, basically, the meat of this story is that DNA test results are not yet back. It's probably going to be the new year before we finally get some of those results that may well link essentially these remains with a bloodline relative, I believe, from Canada, and therefore hopefully confirm that these are Richard III's remains. There are some circumstantial evidence, rather, a metal arrow in the back, slight curvature of the spine, and various other features which link with, I suppose, a description, a historical idea of Richard III. But whether or not it is him is yet to be proven. Unfortunately, though, it's worthwhile mentioning there's a note of caution that I would add, and that is that some people are suggesting that even if these DNA test results are inconclusive, we can assume that this is Richard III. That sounds like a very dodgy thing to say and to think, and especially at this point, before the results have even come back, to be suggesting. One suspects that maybe there are some local interests that have an awful lot to gain in tourism, etc., etc., and therefore perhaps they don't want to embarrass themselves based upon the claims they've made already. But anyway, we look forward to hearing about these DNA test results in the near future, and what people will make of them will hopefully make sense also. So that's headline number 3. Now, for those news stories and all the other news stories from the past few days, unfortunately I wasn't able to publish on Friday. It was simply too dark here in Wallsend. Please do look in the links in the underbar just below. There's some wonderful news stories there, and including actually one of my favourites being, well, two of my favourites actually, one of them being a brain removal tool left in the head of a mummy. Ouch. And also actually the fact that a pigeon fancier with a World War I code book has broken a code that was attached to a pigeon which had landed in a chimney from the Second World War. GCHQ, the British Communications and sort of code-breaking boffins, as the Sun would say, took a crack at it and actually couldn't break this code, but it's been partially broken by this chap, and this may well lead actually to the whole message being revealed. So that's very exciting. So anyway, for all those news stories, check out the links below. Please do enjoy them. Read to your heart's content. And until next time, guys, look after yourselves. Bye bye.